So let me start with what the status. What is the law today? Okay, the law today is that a law-abiding citizen can purchase a firearm under federal law with a background check. If you're, this is a handgun. If you're 18 or over, and you're a non-felon,
right.
Okay, you don't have a felony record, and what that means is that, and that's the federal law. So in Missouri, we don't have any law that says you can't purchase a firearm or carry it, but now there's certain locations where you can't carry a firearm, including federal property, state government buildings, and some municipalities have what's called, basically gun ordinances where you can't openly carry in their city.
Right.
Okay, Springfield does not have that.
Okay.
Now, so that's you can purchase a firearm, carry it on your hip, openly without having to go to get any training. Okay, what the lawmakers did long ago is they made it illegal. Because under the Constitution, you can't prohibit someone from carrying a firearm. So what they did was they made it illegal to conceal it.
Right.
That's what they made it illegal. And so what states did to unwind that is that they said, well, you can conceal it, but you got to get a permit. And basically what the permit does, if you think about it, you're making people pay hundreds of dollars in fees and pay a trainer and spend all day in a class so they can put a piece of clothing over the firearm that they are legally allowed to carry. And so that's the reality of it, is that the coursework and the fees that you pay and the permit really is about a piece of cloth. It's not about the firearm. People have the right to carry the firearm. What you're paying for and taking training for is a piece of cloth to put over the firearm. So,
go ahead.
In addition to that, in Missouri statutes, there are some ways in which the penalties for carrying a fire. There are some locations where you're not allowed to carry, and those are relaxed if you get a concealed carry permit. So, for example, if you don't have a permit, you cannot carry into a church. But if you do get a permit, if your church allows it, you can carry into your church with a permit. And so there's also, we passed a law a few years ago where if local schools or if they decide to allow for create a program or allow for some faculty members to carry, and they create a special program, then you can do that. But that you have to get a permit to do that. I'm a state lawmaker, and the only way I can carry in the Capitol building is with a permit. So there's locations that if by getting a permit that you get special privileges to go to those locations, and the firearm and the permit gives you that ability to take that firearm into location. Now, what this bill does is it says if you have the lawful right to carry the firearm in that location openly, then you also have the lawful right to carry that firearm in your pocket or in your purse, basically concealed. If that's the purpose, then you're not required to go get a permit or pay a background check, be put on a government database simply to carry in your pocket or in your purse. Because the reason why it's called constitutional carry is that very simply is that this is a Second Amendment right, and when you line it up with all of your other rights under the First Amendment, your free speech, your freedom of religion, your ability to vote, we would find it abhorrent to place a fee and require people to go get training simply to express their free speech, or simply to be a newspaper reporter or a KY3 reporter, or to express their religion, or to vote. And in the same way, the Second Amendment is a right that is just as important as all of those other rights, and we should not require citizens who simply wish to protect themselves to have to pay expensive fees and go through training simply to protect themselves under their constitutional rights. Now, that does not give them the right to take the firearm anywhere that they want to go. And so what this bill doesn't do is it doesn't change those locations. So you can't carry into a church without a permit. You can't go onto a school property. You can't go onto a college campus. You can't go onto federal property or into governmental buildings. It doesn't change any of those laws. But what it does do is simply, if you don't want to have to get a permit and be put in a government database and pay expensive fees, you don't have to do that in order to simply defend yourself under your constitutional rights. Yes, on the House floor, there were three amendments that were added. One allowed for if you have a guest at your home and something happens and they end up needing to defend you and your family, or if they need to defend themselves in your home, then they can do that. So it's an extension of that to guests. The other one is allowing citizens. The other amendment that was placed on is that allowing citizens who wish to have their firearm, because we have some situations where someone goes to a private building and they see the sign at the door, and out of respect for the owner, they go back and they place the firearm in their vehicle because they have to. So what this does, it says that property owner, while they have the right to say that they don't want firearms in their property, in their buildings, that your vehicle, you placing a firearm securely in your vehicle is something that they cannot stop you from doing. Basically, that's your right. And that was another amendment. And then we have the third amendment that was clarifying, right now, fire protection districts, if you are a fire chief, you have the right to carry without a permit. But what the bill did is it said that also the staff had the right. I think that you're right. I mean, for some reason, it is normally the House is more conservative, and the Senate, but right now the Senate has been more conservative than the House. But the thing about the Senate, the dynamic of the Senate is that all it takes is one senator to kill any bill, and the Senate has to have great fortitude to overcome some of those filibusters, and so that's right. Basically, the Senate right now, you never know what could happen in the Senate. I don't know what Governor Nixon will do. Governor Nixon has signed Second Amendment bills before. He's vetoed some before, but we have definitely the votes to override the governor. Yes, and I would say that we have a very confident number on the override. What I would let you, so for example, a lot of citizens, especially in Southwest Missouri, but citizens all over the state right now, getting a concealed carry permit is very popular, and I would say people still should go out and get the concealed carry permit, but you shouldn't, in my opinion, have to go out and get the permit. One of the benefits of getting it is that you will be able to go across state lines. There is reciprocity across state lines in many states in the country who recognize Missouri's permit, and so the permit doesn't go away. It just means that it will, if you don't, for simple things, and if you're not going anywhere special, you won't need to get a permit now. But also, people, the lines right now to get the concealed carry permits are unbelievable. If you call, and you probably should, call the Greene County Sheriff's Office and the Christian County Sheriff's Office or any of the local counties and ask them what is the wait time or how long before I can get in to get my concealed carry permit. My wife just completed her training about 2 weeks ago, and when she called in, she's not going to be able to get in and get her training until October. So it is a very long time for someone to wait. So imagine if you are a person and you feel, let's say you had somebody that made a threat against you in your life, and you felt the need to protect yourself, and which you didn't have that need before. So what happens today? That means that if you have a firearm, then you're able to start carrying it, but you go and apply, or you go take a class, you pay $100, then you go to the sheriff's office, and after 9 to 10 months of waiting, they then allow you to pay them $100. Then they run a background check, and then they call you back in after a month or two and give you the permit. So it is not an ideal scenario for someone that wants to defend themselves.